Welcome back for another toolkit entry for geometry. This one is called Pyramid Vocabulary and also the volume and surface area formula here. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go ahead and draw this picture into your toolkit here. On this pyramid, you'll notice the bottom is a square, and coming up from each of these vertices here of the square, it comes up to the point here in the middle, and it creates actually 4 different triangles here. We have the height, which is from the center of the square on the bottom directly top up to that top point, and we also have what we call lateral edges. These are the 4 edges here that make up these triangles here, and then we also have what we call the slant height, which is, if you were to think of this as a triangle right here, which it is, that would be the height of that triangle, and that's called the slant height on the outside of the triangle versus the height, which is actually inside the triangle. We have 5 faces altogether. The bottom face is the base, that's the square down here. And we have other faces, and those are called lateral faces. So like I said, make sure this gets into your toolkit, and I'll give you a minute to do that. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about how do you find the surface area and how do you find the volume. And there's 2 simple formulas here. For surface area, and we're talking about total surface area, and that includes the bottom, is the sum of the area of all the faces. So in this case here, basically what we have is, on the bottom we have a square, and along the sides we have 4 congruent triangles. So I'm going to write 4 triangles. So if we can find the area of that square and the area of one of the triangles and multiply by 4 because they're all the same size, we would know the total surface area. Now how you find the volume of a pyramid is a little different. It's actually much simpler, and it's 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So that's the height, not the slant height. So those are your 2 formulas here. So once again, make sure that's in your toolkit. And finally, let's do a little example here. And so the example says, find the volume and the total surface area of the pyramid if your height is 4 centimeters and your base edge is 6. So if I'm looking up here at the picture here, just to draw this stuff in here, I got my base edge is 6, so that means this side is 6 all the way across from here to here. I also know my height is 4 centimeters, so going up here, this would be 4 from the very tip top of the pyramid down to the middle of the base. Also, I would know this distance here would be half of 6, so that would be 3. So if I want to figure out my slant height, which will come into play in a moment here, what you would do is you'd use the Pythagorean Theorem. So you would say 4 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. That's 16, that's 9, add them together you get 25. 25 equals x squared, so x in this case equals 5. So our slant height here is going to be 5 centimeters. So that'll all come into play here in a minute. So let's go ahead now and figure out the volume first. That's probably the easier one of the 2 to find. So let's write volume equals. And what you do is you find 1/3, I'm going to write 1/3 right here, and you're going to find the area of the base. Well, the base is just a square. So if this side is 6, that means this side has to be 6 too. And 6 times 6 will be the area of that. So I'm going to write 6 squared, okay? And then you just multiply by the height. Well, what's the height? The height is 4. So if you grab your calculator right now and take 1/3 times 6 squared times 4, you wind up with 48. So it'll be 48 centimeters cubed. All right? So that's how you find the volume. Now let's go ahead and find out the total surface area. TSA for total surface area here. So like I was saying earlier, it's going to be the bottom, which is a square, plus 4 triangles. So the square, how do you find the area of the square? We just did that a minute ago. That'll be 6 squared. Plus, we're going to take 4 different triangles here, okay? And if you remember, how do we find the area of a triangle? It's 1/2 times the base times the height of that particular triangle. So if we look at the triangle here, that's this little triangle here on the side here. I'm going to draw a picture of it right here. It actually has a base of 6, and the slant height, which is what we figured out a minute ago, the slant height is actually the height of this. So what is the height? That would be 5. All right, that's the slant height here. So that's why we want to know the slant height, because it tells us the height of that triangle here. So when we're talking about what numbers to plug in here, it'll be, let me rewrite this here, 6 squared plus 4, and then it'll be 1/2, our base is 6, and our height of that triangle is 5. All right, so doing a little math here, let's see, we got Well, 6 squared obviously is 36, plus 4. Half of 6 is 3, and 3 times 5 would be 15. 4 times 15 is 60, so we get 36 plus 60. So altogether, when we're done here, we get 96, and that'll be centimeters squared. All right, so that's how you find the volume and the total surface area of a pyramid.